what you can learn from them. The chisel is kind of a great litmus test. Now, today's video, I'm going to ignore a lot of basics because there are so many other content creators out there that have done it, and even I've covered it. In fact, I have several series on woodworking using the chisel and stuff like that, where this is the foundation of our lesson, including a prerequisite course, entire series there, and then a start woodworking course that focuses on the interaction of that edge in wood. So we're going to take it to that sophomore level in this video, and we're going to be discussing how you use chisels wrong. And the first way is exactly how I've been doing it in this entire opening setup, one-handed. If you're using a chisel with just one hand, you're basically using it as a sword, stabbing stuff. And more than likely, you're going to stab yourself eventually because you're going to be holding a piece of wood and going out like that. A chisel is a two-handed tool. You've heard me say this many times before. Either both hands are on the chisel, working it, or one hand is on the chisel and another hand is on another tool interacting with the chisel. Only example I can think of is a mallet. If your hands are here, it's very hard for you to end up in an ER due to a chisel accident. Now, guys, there are no absolutes in life. I've just told you this is only a two-handed chisel, and I know there are people out there that are already typing in the comments, that's total BS. He's doing his sophomore level class with the chisel usage, and he's telling you can never use it one hand. Yeah, there are instances when you can do way up on the chisel so that you can add a bevel to it with some totally out of the side. This is a carving technique. You can do it safely, but I would never teach somebody that who's just starting out. Yes, you can hold it like a knife, like a marking knife, and use it to lay stuff out very safely. Once again, I'm not talking to teenagers or brand new woodworkers. There's always exceptions to the rule that you can about it, pointing that stuff out in the comments because you feel superior. So there we go. Now we have the safety controls that are 5 and 10. We have a block of wood, okay? And then we're going to have a chisel right here. Now, the majority of people, when they're thinking about chisel sharpening, kind of the holy grail is to have a perfectly flat edge. We're talking, this is the bevel side, you put it down here, and this is the cutting angle right there, okay? The way you get that is every time you sharpen, you have the edge set at perfect angle, and you remove all of this material just to get that to two angles that go on for infinity, two vectors that go on for infinity, okay? The other thing that a lot of people like me do, hollow grinding. And that's basically, we go to the grinder and we position the bed angle so it touches the bevel right in the middle so that we can remove material and still have that flat vector, that flat plane right there at the front and the back. And that makes it so you can freehand sharpen fairly quickly. Basically, you can kind of rock those two edges so it goes click, 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 and that finds your angle, and then you just maintain that angle. You take a few swipes, and that's all it takes. You've now removed just a little bit of material on the front and back. I'll tell you a trick. If you focus on putting more pressure on the rear than the front, you really kiss that front every now and then. You tend to get a sharper edge because you're not pushing down into the grain as hard. You're just kind of skimming over the top. So there we go. That's how very lazy stuff. I call it that because you don't have to focus on getting the grinder perfectly centered. You don't have to worry about any angle. You're just removing material off the heel of the chisel so that you can use a jig of some sort that's going to set the perfect angle for you to sharpen with. And setting that the jig is like 10 seconds at max to do. So it's not that big a deal. It gives you very, very consistent results. Now, back in the old days, he was in his shop, he was his prize workshop, so they locked. Great grandkids, they look at it as a dusty old shop with not worth anything, so they let some woodworker come into the shop and do some tools. That's where we were taking back to his shop, and he looks at that chisel and he goes, with a curve. And I pretty guarantee that most edges back in the day on a plane or something like that probably had that. For no other reason than these people. Natural way to do it. But it's also how they were using. Could there possibly be benefits to that? So we have a flat grind. We have a hollow laser grind, and we have a convex grind. Which one of these is wrong? I'm going to tell you this. All of them are wrong, and none of them. Because there's a concept that I don't think is very talked about a lot in the hand tool woodworking realm. Steel is cheap. This is something that came to me because I'm a wood turner. And this is my spindle gel. In production mode, this blade is well over $100, and I have to make a new handle pretty much every single time. Makes a great content because every time I do one of these, I get to make another handle making video. But I will sharpen this thing 6 or 7 times a day when I am in production turning, and that's just shaping it. I'm constantly honing it all the time. Every few tops or magic wands in a bowl, making a bowl, I will hone it 3 or 4 times. I might go back to the grinder twice. So you just waste away material, but that is still so much cheaper than sandpaper. It's a safe tool. Plus you get better results with a ultra fine edge, and I am constantly changing things about the grind for different cuts. I might bring a wing down a little bit to give me a little bit more of a scraping action, that kind of stuff. So this is a disposable tool. This is a consumable. This is a heirloom tool. You will pass this one down through generations. This is its consumable. And if you are using this tool so much that you use up a blade, congratulations to you. You're getting a lot of work. But you're working well. You're using your tool. Here's my previous premium set of chisels. I joke a lot that you don't need to get a full set of chisels, evidence being that there's only mushrooms on one of them, and sharpening them all the time. It's not that much shorter, and I can tell you, I use this daily for 5 or 6 years as my main chisel, sharpening it 2 or 3 times a day, and I've only used that much up, and this super 10 chisels back in the day. And here's my current set of premium. Use them all the time. Shorter. This is the first one I bought. I just got this one last year, and you just buy 1 or 2 a year. And yet, this old chisel with a handle and everything of the ultimate PMV powdered metal steel is still more than that one turning blank that I have there. I say all this to draw. Each one of these can have a different purpose. Because there's no reason why to suit the purpose. Just go to the grinder or sharpening stone right before a specific process that you're going to be doing and get the tool so that you will get the best result. I mean, how many of y'all have watched a YouTube video and you see some guy maybe between a dado with a chisel getting nice smooth rhythm, he seems to be doing easy work and you struggle? Well, could it be that tool for that specific task? And they did it right before they turned on the camera. Here's an example I want you to think about. I have a block of wood, it's got a nice crisp edge right there. I want to add a nice little chamfer right there. So I grab my chisel.
It's awesome, Lorenzo. Have fun with it. Glad I can help you out. That's cool.
Put this hand here, drag it across, creating that angle. Notice I'm having a little bit of problem right there. Okay, dragging it across. Right like that. For some reason, it is not even. It is not level. Let's look at my edge right here. I have obviously coarse marks right there, and I'm only sharpening the bevel. This is basically a hollow grind. I have a little bit of a shiny spot on the back. So why would it be very hard for me to draw that straight line coming across? Could it be because what my reference surface isn't straight? But basically, I have that wood, the edge coming over here. My chisel has a concave section in the middle to use my sharpening. But as I'm going over that edge at an angle, the wood is actually coming up in here. So it's diving down, ramping back out. It's actually changing the angle. Just a little bit, but a little bit over a few inches makes it better look like that. So in that kind of situation, what might be a better bevel to have? I'd say a flat one, so that the wood just rides on it. So I can come down to my certain depth, set my angle, and just maintain that angle all the way. So in this situation, all these are wrong. Here's another example. You cut a dado, you clean it up, you clean it down, you clean off the bottom right there. There's all these marks, and you're coming over here, you're kind of wiggling around, and sometimes it goes deeper, sometimes it goes comes out, but it always seems you just, right when you're just clearing the top, all of a sudden it dives down for something, like right there. It just goes down a little bit. So what would be a better bevel for this kind of operation? So this time, because we're using the entire width of the bevel, we in effect have a straight edge, even if we have a hollow grind out there, because both ends are touching. But the problem is that if you get this angle right here, just a degree off as you're freehanding it across the wood, this would dive down. Because it will dive a little bit, and that increases the angle, and you just kind of, it's what to do. It doesn't feel right. So of these, which would be the best to do. But if you had the grande slightest curve right here, well, just gliding along it, it would more likely want to come out. So you would just come in and you would get a smooth action going across grain over the grain, going calling out the bottoms of those kinds of joints. And then you would go back to something like the routing blade to make it perfect. Because that's what we do. Use a chisel to get rid of the rough work and a finer, more adjustable tool to just get that last little bit perfect. Now, how about chopping? I don't really need to demonstrate that. We've all done some chopping. We are chopping down. Which one of these would be the best angle? I'll tell you which one I do all the time. That one right there. Though I don't necessarily go to the grinder to get that kind of benefit. I would just clip off the nose. A little bit steeper. Just like that. Go to my sharpening stones, find my ideal angle, lift up a little bit, take one or two strikes, removing the slightest of material. Why would I do that one?
Not talking if I'm running chainsaw.
Rumble, it's going to break and it's going to give you even worse results. But if I can have a more durable, steeper angle that will shoot the shaving out quicker instead of curling them back, removing the waste better, that's better. So you modify your tool for the task. And heaven forbid you have to remove this,
We'll see.
remove that steeper angle. Well, remember, all you did was take one or two swipes on the stone. You're just barely seeing that difference, but it makes a world of difference in the result. And it's easily repairable. Just remove a little bit more material, because after all, steel is cheap and it is a consumable item. So with that kind of generally brought to your attention, I just want you to think about these stuff. This is sophomore level. We don't need to present everything. You've now gotten a general idea. You know what your hands are doing when the blades go over. So as you're using it, think, is this the best way I could use this tool? Is this the best way I could set up this hand tool? Same thing happens with chisels. How many ways are there to? So now let's talk about that elementary school stuff. Now for those of y'all that, if they're equal, rise over run, you probably end up with something like 45 degrees. Come over one and up two, you have an obviously steeper angle. You overcome over two and up one, a less steeper angle. Now, how does that apply in the real world? Well, if you have a mountain that's very steep, we all know when you're skiing down a mountain, if you point your down and just turn when everything's getting away, you have a very steep slope. You are going to go very, very fast. But if you were to go across a mountain like that, your path is a lot longer, so the slope is a lot less. With this distance right going to be less. Well, how do we use those woodworkers when they were talking about sharpening, talking about the angles they are, the lower or the higher slope of the tool that they are using? You have the bottom of a chisel, we have our bevel right here, and comes out over there. A lot of people, this angle right here for just a normal bench chisel, they are shooting for about 25 degrees. If you're really anal about it, for a mortising chisel, something that has a very steep, that needs to take a lot. Angles are more durable. The lower you bring this, means that you don't have to push as hard through the wood in order to make a cut. When you have very, very steep angles, something, like this right here, in fact, you'll be a very durable edge, but you're going to have to push it through the wood harder versus something that is like right, get down to the thinness of a. As intelligent woodworkers, take a tool, a chisel that we have sharpened at a specific angle, and make the tool or the wood think it's at a different angle. Well, if you have a chisel and you're using of the wood against that is whatever the bevel angle is. So if you have fence right here, but if you were to turn that at a straight angle, the angle of attack to the wood, that line is a lot longer than this one. And as we just explained, the longer line will represent a lower slope angle. So the wood will actually think that this blade is a lot lower a slope than what it or something like that. And just kind of slowly work through a project. But how can you push a chisel through wood at that angle? Well, this comes around to hand position. It's basically creating a pivot point. So you're actually not going to work through the wood in an arc. Now, I would use these types of dowels or pegs or flushing two pieces of wood together like on dovetails, you know. I'm a little bit proud so you can cut. Somehow approach that ingrain. Just put a white oak dowel into a piece of pine. So we have very soft wood, very hard wood, and the hard wood we need to cut across the end grain. Now I could come over here and try and push it through, but white oak's pretty hard. I'm going to slowly work through some really tough wood, this particular one being too. Here, and a lot of times on square pegs, if I want it to extend up, but I want to pillow the edges so they're more durable and it looks cool, I would take my chisel, I'll come down to the bottom, and I'll kind of pivot off of the corner, and that's how I can pivot. I can do that, and the problem is, look back here. Can you see what I just did to the wood itself? I first learned about in wood turning, because a lot of times when I was first starting out, or actually this is kind of intermediate after I've been doing it a few years, I would be turning like the inside of the bowls, or I would be doing a scraping cut on the outside, and I would get it visually perfect. I would sand the interior and all that kind of stuff. You couldn't feel any change in the curvature. I would come around here, but then whenever I put oil in it, all of a sudden you would see these complete circles going all the way around. What was happening is the bevel of my tool, I was rubbing it like I should. But if you think about it, you have your wood, you have your back of the chisel, front of the chisel, working through the wood, and you're putting some downward pressure on this side. So it's rotating out. This becomes a pivot point right there. And that is a point, the way most people sharpen their tools. So you can create a lot of pressure, even though it doesn't feel like much at your fingertips, but you've got a lot of leverage right there. And it's using the wood itself that you're going through to exert pressure right here. So all that gets magnified right there, and you crush fibers in the wood. But it's so minute, you probably won't feel it, even though you sanded the top, but they will absorb oil more. How do we get around that? Your tools. If you're doing that kind of situation, why not, when you're sharpening your chisel, you're going boom, 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 boom. How about lowering it down as slow as you can, just taking a swoop right there? What would that do? That would round over this back so that there's not a single point touching the wood, and you can spread that force over a little bit.
Barry, you want to come carve your first bear for everybody on YouTube?
BY, great grandfather,
I make good content.
had their chisels with that curve right there because they were limited in the tools we were doing. And a lot of times they would flatten entire boards with their chisel, and they didn't want to rock that Bach bevel and damage the wood. So back to this little peg. I'm going to turn my chisel over using both hands. I'm just going to kind of get rid of using my front hand. I'm not trying to be delicate here. And then whenever I get closer and closer to the end, I can switch up like this and using my palm right here to create the pivot point and downward pressure, and coming across sideways to give myself nice control and lower.
The generator. That's been running all day yesterday. Today, same tank of gas. We're gonna run out here at some point, but surprised that thing's still going. I'm just filling up sows. What's that? Never mind. Hammer on through. Maybe I should stick the eagle out by the road. Right next to the white line. Hey, tip to any of my new carvers watching. Take your bar oil and put it in an old gas can like this. You have less spillage. Not the tops, I got the press thing and all that. The ones that have like that funnel built right in, right? Oh, there you pour it right in your saw. You don't lose any oil. Not trying to do it with the jug. Alright guys, well I'm going to jump off here. Hope you guys had fun. Hope you have an awesome day. And I'll see you guys later.